My God, that's a funny story. I've had friends throw up in my purse.
I was like, how did you know that? It was creepy. Like, it was creepy, but it was awesome creepy in a way.
We talked about what happens when mom gets sick. Today we're talking about what happens when the kids stay home. Let's go. Welcome to Honest Mom Talk, the podcast where we drop the filters and talk about what motherhood really feels like. Around here, we're done pretending that we have it all together. We're talking mental health, identity, relationships, boundaries, politics, and the real emotional work of being a mom in today's world. So take a deep breath and let's have an honest conversation about motherhood. Hello, and welcome back to Honest Mom Talk, the podcast where moms get real honest about being real moms. As always, I'm Molly.
And I'm Jillian.
And you know what's funny?
What's
When
funny?
kids get sick, what happens? Sick kids are not funny.
I know. Yeah, because I remember that fear when you hear your child make that noise that split second before they're gonna puke. And every mom knows that noise. And I don't think we move as fast. Like, we're faster than Olympic sprinters to get there.
Reflexes of a mongoose. I have caught more. Sorry. Disclaimer, things are probably going to get nasty. I have caught more vomit in these two hands right here than I care. And not even just mine or my friends in an Uber to save the cleaning fee. Like, but I also like, oh my God, that's a funny story. I've had friends throw up in my purse. But it's also like, you can tell, especially for me with these little kids, when they get cuddly.
Yes.
I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like, don't.
And I can definitely the same, because my one is not a hugger or a toucher or anything. And as soon as she would come up into my space, I was like, oh shit, you're getting sick. But then part of me is also like, oh, you actually want to love me.
I know. Like, my daughter will always, like, a part of every day, she'll want to sit and snuggle. But it's when she fell asleep on me the other day and I was like, motherfucker. Like, and I just looked at my husband. He goes, yeah, she sounded kind of congested. And then it's always that first wonderful, wet, like barking cough, which is always no more than 6 inches from your face.
Correct.
And you're like, cool. So I don't really want to talk about the ins and outs of sickness, because we've all dealt with sick kids. We've dealt with sick husbands. We've dealt with sick selves. I want to talk about what happens to mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the things around when kids get sick, because it's basically like a nuclear meltdown.
Well,
like, it is
also that, but it's also momming times 10.
Right.
Because you're already having to control so much and handle so many things. But then once you've got a sick kid on top of it, one, it messes up the routine. Two, they are, like we said, attached to you. God forbid if you have another child who is either not sick or is sick, like, and you're trying to take care of the sick one and also manage the other one and also keep them separated so we don't share the love. So it makes everything 10 times harder. And I used to always, like, I would get annoyed because I would say to my husband, well, can't you do this? Can't you do that? And he's like, I could, but they want you.
Right. And there is psychology behind that. Like, there is actually a biological kickback that kids get from moms when they don't feel well. It's why they want us when they get hurt. It's, it's why dads are more fun, right? Like, that is just biological. Dads are more fun. They play harder. Like, that is just what dads are coded to do. It's a subconscious thing, and we are coded to care.
Correct.
Now, it is not to say that the roles cannot be reversed. That's not, I'm not pigeonholing anybody.
No, because especially if you have same-sex couples.
Yes.
Then that changes.
But it is still, like, there is still a hormonal output and, like, hormonal, like, that when, like, biologically, when a kid is hurt and their mother, it's the recognition of your heartbeat. It's the symbiotic relationship you have from growing them.
Correct.
It can be simulated in all kinds of relationships, but that's there's also that guilt that we have.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because that's also a psychological and biological thing that moms feel bad when they are not the primary. And,
Yeah.
like, that's a whole other episode about mom guilt that we'll get into. But, like, I definitely struggle with, like, over hypervigilance. Like, we were talking a while ago when my son was having surgery
Mhm.
and my daughter got sick. This kid's a petri dish, by the way. Like, I feel like she always has some cold. It's because she puts stuff in her mouth all the time.
God.
Um, but I kicked her out.
Yeah.
Like, I sent her to my parents' house because we had already rescheduled this surgery. I just needed my son to stay healthy.
There's
Like, I
something children.
Lysoled. Like, I just needed to get the surgery done. But it's, I feel like one of the biggest things is, like, we deal with that, like, schedule implosion, guilt. We're resentful of, like, why do I have to take care of them? Even though we love it, it's still like, ugh. And like you said, it's everything on top of everything versus how our partners
There's
experience
no
things.
change in their routine.
Correct.
Because, like,
And
if a kid's sick, depending on said sickness and age, it either messes up daycare, it messes up if you have your kids at home, but you are still a work from home parent, you can't actually give your full attention to your work, even though you may be home, you are working. Or if you work outside of the home, well, now I've got to either miss work or I've got to find someone else to take care of my child in my house, whether it be a relative or whoever. It's just all of those things. It's not just, oh, they've got a cold or, oh, they have the stomach bug. We now have to alter 10 other points. And then if they need to go to the doctor, go for this, or they take a medicine and we have to keep track of this schedule. I've got pictures. I will send you a picture of the one time that my girls, one had strep and one had a double ear infection. And I
oh,
literally had a chart on my kitchen wall of like check boxes of who took what medicine at what time so that I could check it off so I didn't miss one or say, did you get it this time? Because one was 2 times a day, one was 3 times a day. And it's like, it just adds to the mental load of
mhm.
shit us moms have to do for something as innocuous as a cold.
Well, and I think that the mentality of all that stuff changed a lot too with COVID.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Like, I remember one of my good friends was pregnant in the middle of the pandemic, and she went to the doctor and was reading, "Please let us know if you have any of the following symptoms." And she's like, "It was literally everything you have early in pregnancy."
Yeah.
Like, literally. And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, for me, that's become kind of a double down on the guilt and, like, confusion about it because I'm like, "Okay, so she's coughing, but she doesn't have a fever." Like, a cough can last up to 6 months. And,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
if I don't send her to daycare, then the hardest part for me too is, like, the morning routine,
Mhm.
which is like, period, done. In general, the morning routine is the hardest, but it's the chaos of all of it, like
Mhm.
feeding animals, feeding kids, like getting myself dressed, whatever. And then kind of that downtime after my son is at school, the dogs are resting in whatever corners. And then yesterday she was home and within 15 minutes, she's like, "We will do this, and we will do this, and we will do this." And I'm like, "Ah," and she had me making, like, loom band bracelets, and then she did my nails, and we were doing art, and, like, I'm like, "You could be at daycare."
Yeah.
But I would feel so terrible if I sent her to daycare, her sickness escalated to, like,
Mhm.
flu or whatever, and then I'm like, "I'm the reason other kids are sick."
And that's part of it also. Not only when the kids are sick, but that purgatory time when you're like,
Mhm.
are they actually sick or are they not? Should I send them? Should I not send them? And I know there's so many times that I'm like, oh, you're okay. You just have a little cough, what have you. And the next thing I know, I drop my kids off to school. 20 minutes later, I'm getting a phone call from the school nurse that my kid
They
puked
have a
in the
fever of
hallway
103.
or they have a fever. And I'm
Yep.
sitting there like, oh, now I feel like a shit mom because I was
Mhm.
like, you are fine, which that's a whole nother, like, I'm that tough love, you're fine mom. And I sent my kid to school with a broken arm once. That's a whole nother.
You and my mom should hang out. See, I'm trying to be, but again, this like if you don't know my backstory, please go read the bio I'm putting on the website because like I have a lot of medical trauma with my son. So I try really hard to not baby him, but it's also just ingrained in me that like
Us 80s kids, you're fine. You just keep going. And if any mom questions themselves right now, they're going to say, well, you know what? At least I'm doing better than Jillian and Molly.
well, and like to be fair, my mom also like I had a broken ankle, but because my ankles were so bad, she was like, "You're fine." And then years later, the doctor's like, "When did you break your ankle? There's a couple chips in here." And I just looked at my mom like, "Bitch." So because like I want to talk about the myth of like actually working from home with kids because like I experienced that yesterday. And for those of you who don't know, there's a bit of a I don't want to say power dynamic struggle in my home, but my husband is the primary moneymaker. Like he also works from home. We both have our own office spaces, but like there is this weird understanding of dad's office is a sacred place where mom's office is a trash pile where we can all hang out. Like I don't know if anyone it's probably an old-timey 80s reference, but if anyone remembers Fraggle Rock,
yes.
and the compost pile that they consulted for spiritual guidance, that's my office. Like you might find a deck of tarot cards.
I love it.
You might find a crystal, Disney pins, mini ears. Like the world is your oyster in here. But good luck finding anything you actually need, like stamps or an envelope. They're in here, but you gotta find them. But like it's this idea of like when do we cancel meetings? When do we try to continue to push through our work day? And I feel like we have to keep going because the world doesn't stop moving just because we've got a sick kid.
No, and the thing is that I come from a completely different background where up until recently I worked outside of the home, and I still do. I work 1 day a week from home, and it pisses me off because all of my people say, "Oh, it's Wednesday, you're off work." No, I'm not off work. I am working from home. It just means I'm not going into the other office, but I am still working two businesses just at a different location. And they just think, oh, well, you're not working today. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you add this? No, I fucking can't.
No. Well,
I don't know how you people do it on a regular, consistent basis because as much as I do enjoy my work from home days, people leave me alone more when I work in my other office.
Oh, that's interesting. Because
My
I think
physical location, I still look the same, I'm still doing the same shit, but my physical location, where if I'm working from home here, especially in the summer and the kids are off school, which that's a whole nother episode, they come in and like, can we go to this? Can you take me to Target? I want to go. I'm like, no, I'm working.
So, and we also have a different situation in our relationships because like your husband is out of the house. Like he does not have the option to work from home.
No, he has a truck. He can't just drive that around my house.
Just around the block. He's like, I did it. I put the miles in. It's not how that works. And like that's a thing too, is like, you know, I don't have the perspective of it's me or no one. Like I will say my husband has gotten a lot better with this, with working from home specifically. I think he sees more not the struggle. Like it's not all a struggle, but he sees the hardship of when they are home and he sees the effort and work that goes into entertaining, propagating, like keeping them
all of that things. Yeah. Now, see, like when my girls were little, because also like it's easier now for me.
Yeah.
Because my girls are older. So like a couple weeks ago, my one daughter felt horrible. And I went to wake her up from school and she goes, Mom, I feel like shit. That's what she told me. And I was like, okay. She's like, can I stay home? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you can. But because she's 14,
Yeah. It's
I
kinda
left
set it and
her
forget it.
home alone. I
Yeah.
said, "Here you go. Here's some ibuprofen and a Tylenol cold and sinus. Take that, sleep it off, call me when you wake up." So, like, now at the other end of things, it's not as difficult as it was when they were younger and they couldn't go to school or daycare, and I couldn't go into work. And at
Right.
that time, I wasn't set up to work from home either. COVID ended up giving me that option, to change how things were set up. So when the kids were sick, I could not work. I missed work. So however long they were sick was how long I missed work. So then I had to play catch up afterwards.
And that's the thing too is like, for some reason, it seems to always fall on mom to take PTO for
Mhm.
sick kids. And I'm not saying always, always. Like, there are dads who do it, but even then, we still have that mental load of making sure, like you were talking about the chart with the medications and like checking their temperature,
Mhm.
getting laundry done. God forbid it's a like neurovirus situation,
Right.
like also sanitizing, making sure that like school is being updated on like their sickness, calling the doctor if need be. I know that this is a me thing, but I know it's not exclusively a me thing. I prefer to do all the doctor's appointments. Like
I
it is a choice.
I do it. I 100% do it. And even I think if he offered, no offense, I still wouldn't give him the option because this is the same man who went to his doctor's appointment after not going for 3 years, and I said, "What did the doctor say?" And he goes, "I don't remember."
I mean, my chart is a beautiful system,
Yes.
but like, even with the dogs, we all have skills. My husband is a very valuable member of society,
Yes.
but his observational skills are shit.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And, like, unless I write it in a note, because I have had to rely on him to take our son to kind of more specialist appointments and stuff throughout, and I'm like, "These are the things you need to know." And God love him, there were situations too when my son was a baby and we had to go to the nutritionist that they would talk to me and it was all the math of, like, how to calculate his calories and stuff, and I would glaze over.
Yeah.
And so then she would say, "Okay," and she would just turn and talk to my husband about it because he would be like, "Got it." Like,
Yeah.
because that's just how his brain works. And like that's why we're a team, right? But that doesn't change you know, yesterday, for example, I was like, "Did you take her temperature?" And he was like, "Well, no." I was like, "Cool. Like we need to know if she has a fever or not because she despite her energy, if she has a fever, she can't go to daycare. Like
Correct.
she can't go." And so like we need to know. And then he was like, "Well, I don't know where the thermometer is." And I was like, "Maybe it's in the place that it always is." But,
That
like,
is a
again,
huge bane of
weaponized
mine.
incompetence is a whole nother
That is,
episode.
yes, because and it's not just husbands, it's kids too, because I am so where you say you have a whole bunch of stuff everywhere. My house is so organized that a blind man can walk in here and I could talk them through where to find everything.
Maybe a blind woman.
Well,
Like, I
yeah,
don't
yeah, I know. But anyway, that it always drives me nuts, and I will always lose my shit when people are like, "Where is the pizza cutter?" In the same place it's been for a decade, go look. Like, but I go through this with both my husband and my kids.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I go through it with 2 of the 4 members of my family,
Yeah.
and the 3rd one is a little mini me. And as much as I complain about her, she will say, "It is right here," and, like, she will do it. Um,
But no,
I
going
want
back to the sickness and the tracking and it falling
yeah.
on mom, it was even hard for me. I remember once I needed to go to an event or something, and one of the kids were sick, and I left Paul a note saying, "This is what you need to do." And I remember saying on there, "You need to Tylenol, ibuprofen every 4 hours, swap, blah, blah, blah." I even wrote what time to give what med. that. So it wasn't like, oh shit, it's 4 o'clock. What time do I like? Is this the time to give it? Which one do I give? I don't remember what I gave last. Kept it as idiot proof as possible, as I thought. And I'm
Right.
at an event and he calls me in a panic. How much do I give her? And I fucking lost
Yeah.
it. And I said, oh my God, you are a competent adult. Read the fucking bottle.
Yep.
Now, they have a hard time when mom ends up yelling. They're like, I don't understand why you yell at me. I go through this with husband and kids, and I'm like, because you are a capable human being. Use some brain cells.
It's kind of like that scene from Schitt's Creek, like the fold and the cheese.
Yeah.
When David's like, "Can you teach me one thing?" It's like, I've given you all the steps. And I get it. Like that's an opposite situation.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like why and I do think that we as moms, and this is a beautiful segue into kind of touching on default parent culture.
Yeah.
I think that it is an aspect of motherhood that we are just expected, that we take on. We accept that we are expected to be the default always.
Correct.
And so there are certain things that we just know because it's kind of like when you don't see somebody for a long time and they're like, "Oh my God, you've lost so much weight." But then like my husband never compliments me on losing weight because he sees me every day.
Correct.
So it's a gradual change for him. Like there are things that we just know
Mhm.
because like we are always there and we have all the information. Like I know the dosage of liquid meds for both of my kids because I'm always the distributor. And so but it doesn't make it less frustrating when it's like I've laid out steps A through Y and you just need Z and you can't figure that out. Like,
But it's also, I think, a hard part is some of this shit we don't automatically know.
no,
We
we have
had
to
to
learn.
either learn it, Google it, figure it out, what have you. So if we are capable and competent enough to do
Mhm.
that, why the aren't you? Because I remember one time I was complaining about something with the kids, and I'm like, why can't you just? And he's like, because you already know how to do it. So, and I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I had to figure it out as well.
So
So
there's
if
a
I
term for
can
that.
figure it out, you can figure it out.
So we hear a lot about weaponized incompetence in society on social media. Weaponized acceptance is that's what that's called. That's where, well, you just already know how to do it.
Mhm.
And so they and it's again, these are not negative knocks on
Yeah.
like it is a cultural and societal like
Because there's also, to be fair, there are a lot of things that I don't know
yeah.
that
Yeah.
he knows. And I even
Mhm.
say to him, because he made a comment once about something with the car, and I said, no, no, no. Once we exit that door, that is all you. Like,
Yep, I say that's
I've got enough going on, and I don't need to learn what I'm supposed to
nope.
add into this, what I'm supposed to do there, the changing of the pressure valves for the goddamn sprinkler system. I don't give a flying fuck.
Nope, that's not my department.
Nope, I don't care if the grass burns down.
Nope,
I'm
that's not my department.
Yep.
I say that I'm like that's not my department. Like we moving back to Minnesota got a snowblower.
Oh yeah.
I was like, hard pass, not my department.
Mhm.
Like, but then my husband was leaving for a week, and I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do if we get dumped on? And he goes, you gotta learn to use a snowblower. And I was like, what are you gonna learn?
Well,
And he didn't like that.
yeah, I doubled down with that because Paul was leaving, because sometimes he has to leave for longer haul drives. So some days he gets to come home, but some days he's gone for 3-4 days if he has to go to
Yeah.
Ohio or Indiana or North Carolina, all of that. So sometimes I am a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
Most times it's no different. No offense, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole other episode. But same thing, we were due to get snow as he was getting ready to leave. And I said to him, he's like, well, do you want me to set out the salt and the shovel and all that kind of stuff? I said, no. What you can do is call one of the many guys we know that has a snow removal company and tell them to put me on the rotation because my ass is not doing it. So if you are
And
not
that's totally fair.
do it, you find someone else to fill in.
But yeah, I mean, because essentially that's what we would have to do in a lot of the roles that we have.
Yep.
Like, if the girls need to be dropped off for cheer practice or play practice and he's working, you got to find somebody to do it.
Correct.
And I conceded to the snowblower this time because I was like, it's probably time for me to learn it. And then
My
I
favorite.
did make a point to say, I don't need you anymore after I did it. Because not only he showed me how to do it,
Yeah.
which like to be to be completely fair, him using the snowblower is like "Rrr," me using it was like I was going so slow. And then I would stop at the end of the driveway and turn the thingy and then like struggle to turn it around. I want to talk about one of the biggest aspects of sick kids.
Mhm.
And it's how we disappear when kids get sick. Like the water level is already up to our eyes. And then when they get sick, we completely go under
Yes.
and we completely lose our autonomy and sense of self because everything goes into a deeper level of survival mode. And there's no margin for error. I don't know if you've ever had a kid. We haven't talked about this before. If you've ever had like an emergency visit due to illness,
Yes. Which
like,
that's a whole nother thing. Like you dealt with a lot of medical and emergency and all of that when Miles was first born.
mhm,
We dealt with it with Catherine from 1 to 6, where we were
okay.
in and out of DuPont Hospital and multiple, she had 8 surgeries over that point. So
Wow.
it was, I was like a frequent flyer. I was like, you should just have me a room here, like kind of thing. But it does, there were times, and I remember a nurse coming to me at one point when she was out of surgery, and it was an emergency surgery because she took a post-op bleed.
Yeah.
And I literally had dried blood on me. That's how bad it was because I was holding her through it. And that nurse coming to me and she's like, Mom, right now there is nothing else you can do for her. Go take a shower and take the next hour for yourself.
Yeah.
And I forever thank that nurse for doing that for me. But it's proof that when the kid is sick, whether it is just even a regular cold, a stomach bug, or if it is a lot worse, especially if it's an ongoing sickness, we completely forget of everything. And as the same thing I said before, that whole cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like
Right.
if we're drowning, what good are we to our babies?
And I think that's the continuing conversation. Like the system of this me time, self-care, it's such a fragile one at all ages and stages
Mhm.
of motherhood because I will throw myself in front of a moving vehicle to save my kids. But like I don't care how depleted, tired, exhausted I am. My brain never stops working to make sure that they have enough.
Correct.
And like it's not sustainable to always be functioning with the water level that high, to always be underwater and always be dealing with it. And to kind of piggyback on your take care of yourself for an hour, we had been in the NICU for 3 months
Hmm.
and we knew that going home was coming soon. And we had a charge nurse come in and say, "You guys need to take a day."
Hmm.
She's like, "You have the most expensive and reliable babysitters you'll ever have. He is fine. He is
Yeah.
stable. You are not."
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, "Ah, rude." And
Oh,
this was
there you see
after
that.
it was after I had kind of my confrontation with the lactation consultant because I was like, "I can't exclusively pump anymore. I'm too depressed." Um, and she was like, "But we have to keep trying and think about
No,
him." And I was
oh,
like, "Ugh." Yeah, no, I was real mad. And so my husband was sitting there and he goes, "Okay, we will not be here. Like, we'll take in 2 days, we're gonna be gone." And he booked us a same day trip to Disneyland.
aw.
Like, we woke up at 6 in the morning, flew down to Anaheim, went to Disney for the day, and flew back that night. It was insane.
Yeah.
Like, but he was like, "You weren't going to relax anywhere
Anyhow.
else." And I
And
know, like,
that's
we have our
one of,
differences with
I
Disney,
well,
but
that's the thing, because I remember, and this is one of the main things I say about my other business, is that motherhood is exhausting.
Mhm.
And when you get time off at any point, you don't actually sit down. You always, like when you're at home, you find another project, you find this, you get sidetracked on different things, a kid pulls you in a different direction. You don't actually really get solid time. Whereas going away, even as crazy as those day trips, they are draining. They might be draining physically, but mentally and emotionally, they recharge you in a completely different way. Because, as I say to everyone, motherhood's exhausting. It doesn't matter what you do, motherhood is going to be exhausting and you are going to be tired. Even when they're in their 20s, you are still going to be tired because you're going to be worrying. Okay.
Right.
So, if you're still going to be physically tired, fill yourself up in a way that you can to offset that.
I think of motherhood a lot of the times. I love an analogy.
Mhm.
Um, I think of motherhood as like an old iPhone.
Yeah.
Battery will still charge, even though the screen is cracked. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Like, so you can still find ways to recharge. And that's why I love your momcations. I love like short, little, simple self care because you can recharge the battery and still be functional
Oh, yeah.
even if you're physically exhausted. And I think that the bigger picture of this idea of why we're talking about sick days is that if one sick day is going to break your entire system, the system was never built to support you.
Correct.
And so you're going to have tough conversations with your partner or whoever's supporting you in parenting. Don't take it on your daycare provider. They have policies and rules to keep everybody safe. But I mean, I'm coming from it too with we had a nanny for a long time with our son and it was the sweetest nanny situation ever because he went to her house.
Aw.
They were like best buds and it was like she loved to care for him and he loved to be there. Um and so like that was a true ride or die support system. And I realize now that I took that for granted. And it also has caused some disconnects and issues between my husband and I in caring for sick kids because we're used to having that support.
Yes.
And I know some people would be like, but when your daughter was sick before surgery, you sent her to your parents. I mean, I did. And then worried about my parents getting sick the whole time. Because you like the whole point is I want a support system, but I've never had it.
Yeah.
Like other than our nanny, I never had the default to be able to send my kids to my parents. Like that's a new thing for us like within the last year.
Mhm.
So it's hard to figure it out. And so I think one of the ways while we wrap up here is I want to touch on kind of the takeaway toolbox of the episode and you need to decide like have this conversation when no one is sick.
Yes, that is a big thing because they always say if you're trying to fix the problem when you're in it, you're just trying to survive and get out of it. You're not
Right.
actually putting steps in place for when the shit hits the fan.
Right. So you need to have this conversation even with older kids.
Correct.
I think like it's not just a you and your partner conversation. It's between you, your kids, whoever is supporting you. So like what automatically gets canceled?
Yeah.
What can wait? Like who can take like who becomes the default while the other person organizes their day chaos whatever. And then what gets farmed out? What gets delegated?
Mhm.
Like, can we do who I mean, this kind of goes back to the episode 2 where we talked about when we're sick. Like,
Yeah.
do we just order takeout? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, also lower your standard
Oh.
for
Oh.
sick days.
Yeah.
Like
Very.
we are a loungy PJ all day family.
We're a cereal for dinner. When anyone is sick, the rest of the crew, it is fend for yourself and grab. There's
Yep.
multiple cereal options. Go at it. Like that is it.
It's also a great opportunity for older kids to learn how to make a family meal.
Correct.
Like spaghetti ain't that hard.
We're working on that currently. I am trying to train my
Mhm.
older two to take over cooking because I absolutely hate cooking. I hate cooking.
Really?
I love eating food. I hate with a passion making dinner. It is oh my god. I will
I
die on
mean,
that cross. But
I I hate the planning. I
That
don't
too. Yeah.
mind the cooking, but then I tend to this is a weird thing that I think this is part of my tism. I don't like to eat what I cook.
Oh, no, I
Yeah.
my love language is when people bring me dinner or soup. So my one friend is awesome at making soup, and every time she leaves me a container, and I'm like, oh, thank you.
Soup season, sweater weather.
But on
But
the
lower your
side note, for sickness, not only figuring this out for default parenting, for home, for routines, everything else, but also your work.
yes.
Because I learned through the years, especially when my girls were younger, if I had to take off because they were sick and we figured out the routine at home, when I would go back to work and I'd have some male colleagues give me really shitty comments
Yeah.
about, well, when you were off, just taking some time off. And I'm like, no, no, no. I was taking care of my family the same way your wife does. Like, why don't you do it?
Well, I would hope that the conversation is changing around that. I don't think it is in a lot of industries, but
In
yeah.
well, so because my two businesses are two completely different industries. I've got construction and then female travel. I mean, it's two completely
Yeah.
different rooms. Um, it it has not changed much in construction. I've been there for
Yeah.
26 years. I've been there. So it's not. So it's hard that way. But I have now free fronted it for if I'm a sick or if the kids are sick or what have you to make it easier for when I'm off. But that's one of the things, like, we could set up all the systems to handle at home, but there's still a whole nother place you have to think of.
Right. And that's I think that that's where having the protocol and the plans at home can help and also like kind of idiot proofing it. Like
Oh
we
yeah.
have a we have the sick tub like
Yeah.
where the thermometer, medication, like all of that stuff is there and there's a kids one and a grown-up one just like
Mhm.
we have a first aid bin. And most people have these things like
Oh no,
already
you'd
set
actually
up.
be shocked how many people don't, because we were talking about this before about like different bins and different bags and being prepped. I also don't know if this goes like Virgo prepper brain too, because I said, oh, well, yeah, I just grabbed this such and such bag. And they're like, you have a bag? I'm like, I've got bags for everything,
Yeah.
just so that, like, if we're leaving to go to the lake, I grab the lake bag and it has everything needed in that. If I'm going to the pool bag. If someone is sick, here's that. If, like, it just, but that, I think that also is learning through process of what works and what doesn't work and trying to forefront making things as easy as possible for if I was down. So if I
Yeah.
was down, I could say, all right, to my husband or the kids and say, go grab this bag. This is everything you need. And then go to the activity.
There's actually an amazing episode of Bluey about this.
Well,
It's called Boring Things Are Important.
yes. But I love Bluey. We started watching it like when the kids were little. And I remember sitting there watching one of the episodes and bursting out into tears.
Oh yeah.
Like my daughter looking over at me, and this was like one of the first seasons, and the girls were probably like 7 and 8 at the time. And the mom she was sitting in the room and she's like, I just need a minute. And I'm like, I've never felt more seen in my life, and it is from a cartoon dog.
Cartoon dog. Well, I mean, that show is incredible,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's multi-generational, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
I do remind myself often though that Bluey is from the perspective of a 6-year-old dog. So like it is not but the whole idea that I want to impress on everyone listening about this is that you're not failing
Yeah.
if time is not managed perfect.
Mm.
Like we have this idea, and again, it's this toxicity of social media and society that like if you don't do it perfect and it doesn't go to plan, that it's failing. And like that's just not reality because as your kids get older, they're living their own lives and experiencing their own thing. Like you don't have robots. I mean, if you do, good on you. They're probably cleaner. But like you don't have robots. Like you cannot control when they're going to get sick, how they're going to get sick.
Yeah.
And the idea that you're never doing enough is so toxic and negative because how can you do enough when the situation like how can you meet that expectation when the situation's constantly changing?
Yeah.
Like it just there's too much for you to take on everything on your own. So setting up these systems, having your bags and baskets, like
Mhm.
I do the same thing. We have our swim bag or soccer bag. Like
Yeah.
the swim bag changes when the beaches are open because then we have two bags and teaching my husband these things and him understanding that we don't unpack the bags.
No.
So mad.
I know. I
Like
remember my husband laughing at me at one point, questioning why I had so many different types of towels and why they're just not all in the upstairs cupboard. And I'm like, because these ones get washed and get put in the lake bag. And then these ones get washed and go into the pool bag for when we have swim lessons. And then these ones are the ones we shower with. And these are our camping towels. And he's like, can't we just have one kind of towel? I said, what crazy
no,
thing?
because I want my nice towels up by my bathtub.
Yes, and the thing
Like
is that I don't wanna have to sit there and keep the bag and get to the lake and say, "Oh, shit, I forgot to add towels." So as I'm washing and folding, I know those towels go into that bag, so that bag is prepared for when I leave.
because the repercussions of not taking action are greater than doing it.
You miss it once, and then you're like, "Oh, shit, I'm never letting that happen again."
Kind of like the time I let my toddler throw up in a bowl because, family puke bowl.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh,
Mini garbage cans for life. I will die on that hill. We do not have a family puke bowl. We throw up in our toilet or bathroom garbage cans.
yep.
I will dump that out on the floor to give as a puke receptacle before a bowl ever again. It was
There's your
all
hot
over.
tip of the day, ladies. Use
That's your
puke bowl.
mom moment of the week. Throw up in a garbage can, not a bowl.
Mhm.
But
Do
I
you know
want
what
to.
I did for puking? And here's a great tip. You know those bags, the puke bags from the hospital?
Yeah,
I
you can
saw
buy them
them
on
once.
Amazon.
We were in the hospital. I bought 100-pack box of them. They are stashed throughout my entire house in random places and the car because the
That's
amount of times
smart.
kids have puked in the car. So we are prepped. If anyone needs to puke, there is a puke bag within distance that you can grab and
But
use.
you can't see it
Yep.
because Jillian's house is clean. I would just have them hanging on doorknobs. They'd be everywhere.
Nope, they all know.
That's smart. Like I think that's really smart too for like kids in cars.
Oh yeah.
Like you
Oh
can get them on Amazon. You could steal them from the doctor.
yeah.
Like
Look, even down to my girls had travel bags for when we would either go away for a weekend or fly anywhere. They were in the front zipper of the travel bag so that if they knew, oh, I'm not feeling so good, I trained them. Yes, I will use that word. I have trained them that they reach for that puke bag and puke in it because they've puked on themselves on an airplane before and they don't like that feeling either. So you know what? Grab the puke bag.
someday I'll have to tell you about my helicopter tour experience in Kauai.
Ooh.
It wasn't great. Um Fun fact that I'll leave you with, you should not do the full wine pairing dinner at the Four Seasons and then take a helicopter tour the next day. It is not wine samples. They are full ass glasses of wine.
Oh my God. Oh no. Okay.
But bringing things in together, wrapping it up, the important thing that I want to get across to everybody is that when kids are sick, you don't just pause. You're taking that all in and it will wear on you. We absorb the logistics of everything. We take on the worry and the fear of are we doing enough? Is this kid super sick? We handle the schedule and we deal with the fallout and the picking up the pieces when everything is all said and done. So maybe what we actually need isn't better time management, but again, let's circle back and figure out how we can build a system for better support. And I feel like a lot of times when we're talking about these things, it's like husband bashing, man hating. It's not. These are our lived experiences. Our husbands are learning. They do get better. They have
Yeah.
gotten better. We're drawing from the past here when we talk about this stuff. And that's communication and relationships, right? Like every situation we're learning, our kids are learning. We're trying to do our best to model what will work. And that's different in every house and
Yeah.
in every situation.
As I always say, with everything in life, learn better, do better.
And we can only do the best we can do with the tools we have at the time. That's a little therapy recall for you. So we want to hear from you as always. Message us with your sick day survival tips. Share your worst sick day story. I really want to start collecting more stuff from our listeners to share because that's what we're here for. We're all about building community. So go ahead, go follow us on Instagram at Honest Mom Talk Pod. You can email us at info@honestmomtalk.com. Comment on the show, like, subscribe, follow, share with another mom. I don't know. Just keep hanging out with us because we're going to keep talking.
Yeah. And we're a ton of fun. So
we're so fun.
I know. And we might have a good tip. And you know what? Them ladies that share it with us, they may have a tip we never thought of. And I'll be like, oh, I'm adding that to my arsenal. Because that's what
some lady's probably going to be like, Bags, you're living in the past. Like, you should have Rubbermaid tubs of everything.
But it is. But that's the thing with motherhood and with this. Something small that may work for you and you share, you may say, oh my God, I never would have thought of that. I'm adding that to my way of doing things and it could help me out in some way. Like it's share the knowledge. Don't hold it.
We're not gatekeeping motherhood success here. And I think that's again, could be a whole nother episode. That's what we should call the podcast. It could be a whole nother episode. Yeah. But like the gatekeeping of information between moms with the hopes of going viral on social media or like
I don't give a shit
because you're embarrassed. Don't do it. Nothing embarrasses us here. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Again, you know where to find us. It's all in the show notes. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening and taking time out of your busy day to listen to a real and honest conversation. If today's episode hit home, take a second to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. Don't forget to share this with another mom who may need a little more honesty in her day. You can find more community and support anytime at honestmomtalk.com or follow us on Instagram at honestmomtalkpod. Remember, motherhood isn't easy, but it's better when you're honest.